Let me first thank members for your questions and concerns for our hawker centres. In fact, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the members of the public for the many views and discussions and suggestions that they have put forward. We appreciate such views and feedback to help us to improve, to better serve our hawker centres and Singaporeans. I will speak on our efforts to better support our hawkers and look after their well-being. As a regulator, NEA must strike a balance between serving the public well and ensuring the well-being of hawkers while working to achieve the social objectives of our hawker centres. Residents should have access to affordable food in a clean setting for all 3 meals. At the same time, hawkers must be able to make a decent living under fair tenancy terms and conditions. As with any trial, it is difficult to get the socially conscious enterprise hawker centre or SEHC model right from the start, especially since we have not built new hawker centres for almost 30 years. So we set some key parameters. Let the market work, and when we get feedback or issues are raised, we will move to address them swiftly and decisively, as we have done in the past month or so. We are not done with the stock take of the model and will continue to refine it to better serve Singaporeans. I will outline 3 areas of improvements which we have made and will continue to focus on. First, we will better support stallholders to manage costs. My ministry, together with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, conducted a study on the drivers of hawker centre food prices in 2014. We found that the cost of raw materials and manpower made up the bulk of the hawkers' costs at 76%, and not stall rentals, which only comprise 12%. It is also shown through studies by the Institute of Policy Studies, or IPS, that hawkers generally price food according to what the market can bear. This is influenced by competition in the vicinity and the demographic profile of customers. Hence, rentals do not directly affect food prices. Nonetheless, for both our existing hawker centres and our new SEHCs, or new centres, we have put in place measures to ensure that rentals are fair and not speculative. For existing centres, we have removed the reserve rent and disallowed subletting and assignment. For new centres, we have in our tender evaluation favoured tenderers who offer lower total rental and operating costs and prohibit any increases in rental or operating costs for the duration of the tenancy, as one of our priorities is to safeguard the interests of our hawkers. The median rental of stalls in SEHCs is about $2,000 per month, not $4,000 per month, as some media reports have claimed. The median rentals of stalls in comparable existing hawker centres is $1,700 per month, which is comparable to those of the new centres, after accounting for the larger stall size, better designed stalls and amenities at the new centres, and in some cases, the co-location of the new centres with residential properties as well as other amenities. Stall sizes at our new centres of between 10 to 21 square meters are much larger than existing centres, which are between 5 to 13 square meters. Additionally, the actual stall rentals at our new centres range from $750 to $3,700 a month. This is in line with rentals of non-subsidized stalls at our comparable existing centres, which range from $640 to $3,900 a month. Our hawker centre rentals, particularly those at SEHCs, are not linked to the rentals of surrounding coffee shops and food courts. In fact, they are nowhere near the rentals at these private F&B outlets, which can range from $4,000 to $13,000 a month before other operating costs. We will continue to monitor and ensure that store rentals in our new centres are reasonable to enable hawkers to make a decent living. As for existing hawker centres, no stallholders are paying astronomical rentals. The recent $10,000 bid was an outlier, and the bidder did not even commence operations. Besides rentals, the operating costs at SEHCs and existing centres are comparable too. For example, Service and Conservancy charges, or S&CC, at the new centres are between $110 to $350 a month, within the range of $130 to $450 a month at our existing centres. Similarly, table cleaning fees at the SEHCs are between $300 to $550 a month, again within the range of $200 to $830 a month at our existing centres. Operating costs payable by hawkers at existing centres also frequently do not take into account the cost for dishwashing. At the majority of our existing centres, without centralised dishwashing, or CDW, stallholders may have to hire dishwashers, which could cost up to $1,500 a month, which is much higher than the average CDW charges. Moreover, these hawkers often have difficulties hiring and retaining such hawker assistants, as my minister had said earlier too. Nonetheless, to further help the SEHC stallholders manage costs, we announced last week that we will extend the Productive Hawker Centre grants to these hawkers for 2 years, effective from 1st January next year. With the grant extension, stallholders at our new centres will enjoy 50% reduction in their CDW costs for the first year and 30% for the second year. Currently, these grants are only available to hawkers at our existing centres under the PHC format. However, after a few years of operations with the new centres, we recognise that hawkers at the new centres may also need some support in transition, as they need time to build up their clientele. These productivity solutions, such as CDW and Automated Tray Return Systems, or ATRS, are necessary to alleviate our tight manpower situation and help hawkers solve problems like staff shortage. The average tray return rates of our SEHCs are far higher, at about 50%, than those at our existing hawker centres, which are at about 25%. But we can do better. First and foremost, patrons should form the habit of returning their tray with the crockery after eating. A high tray return rate will directly benefit both patrons as well as hawkers, as it will lead to faster turnover of tables, keep the birds away, and lead to a cleaner environment that helps attract patrons. It will also ease the workload of our cleaners, so that the cleaning companies do not have to keep increasing the number of cleaners, which will eventually lead to higher cleaning costs for the hawkers. And even if they want to increase the number of cleaners, they consistently face manpower shortage and issues with hiring. Greater public education and close partnership between operators, hawkers, and patrons are key. Everyone must play their part towards ensuring a clean environment in our hawker centres to benefit both patrons and hawkers. In fact, most hawkers have welcomed the productivity initiatives implemented at our new hawker centres. To Sui Han, a 39-year-old hawker operating at the Man Cheng Siang Curry Rice stall at our Tampines Hub, or OTH, hawker centre, said that he was satisfied with CDW as it helped him to reduce his cleaning costs significantly. He highlighted that CDW fees at OTH added up to only $700 before the productivity subsidy, while it will cost him about $3,000 to hire 2 assistants to cover the same load. CDW also saves stallholders from paying additional water charges or managing an inventory of crockery and cutlery that has to be replaced due to wear and tear or loss. Hygiene is better as they do not have to carry out dishwashing within the stall area. We hope that this will alleviate the workload of our hawkers, especially the older workers, older hawkers, and make the trade more attractive to our younger hawkers by reducing menial work. Following a call for collaboration, CFC, led by Enterprise Singapore, ESG, on behalf of NEA, HDB, and JTC, NEA is partnering NETS to provide interoperable e-payment solutions to our hawkers. Stallholders in SEHCs can take up the CFC e-payment solution for 3 years without paying transaction costs or terminal rental. This will provide an additional option to SEHC operators to encourage stallholders to opt for e-payment. The above subsidies will help to reduce the operating costs of our hawkers at the new centres in their initial years. This will support them as they build up their customer base. There may be some other fees from value-added services that the SEHC operators provide, such as coin-changing services, but these are optional. Second, NEA will rebalance the soft-touch regulatory approach towards SEHC operators and exercise greater oversight to safeguard hawkers' well-being. NEA has reviewed some of the key contractual terms between the SEHC operators and stallholders. Some of the terms were replicated from contracts the operators use in the other food establishments that they run. In practice, operators have actually exercised flexibility with these terms. NEA has taken in the feedback of hawkers and worked with the operators to make 4 key changes as immediate priority. Operators will be more flexible on stallholders' operating hours. Stallholders will not be required to work more than 5 days a week or 8 hours a day, although they could if they wish to. Operators will also engage stallholders who intend to open more than 8 hours a day on how they intend to do so and whether they would have sufficient manpower, for example, through engaging stall assistants or joint operators. As asked by a member, operators can also decide if it is feasible to install food vending machines to meet meal requirements beyond operating hours, especially for small meals or snacks. Operators will not require a notice period of more than 2 months for stallholders to terminate their tenancies or require security deposits exceeding 2 months' rental. This will address the concerns of some stallholders being locked into their tenancies. Operators who impose liquidated damages on stallholders for regulatory or other breaches will limit these payments to no more than $50 per day for minor ones and $100 per day for major breaches. They will also bear all legal fees related to the tenancy. NEA will continue to engage both hawkers and operators to address concerns in other areas. For instance, at OTH, the community had initially asked for a 24-hour hawker centre. But as the demand from patrons has not materialized, both hawkers and the operator will recalibrate the arrangement. With the changes made to operating hours, the hawkers who do not wish to continue with the 24-hour operations, which they had previously signed up for, can do so now. NEA will also ask operators to communicate stall tenancy agreement terms in simple language to ensure that potential stallholders can understand them clearly before they commit to run the hawker stalls. In our contractual review, we found that the operators indeed have shown flexibility. For example, we have not observed any operators charging stall rentals for the remaining of their tenancy terms in the case of premature termination. The operators have also agreed to make changes to the terms I've just described and to waive any legal fees for new tenancy contracts and renewals. Whilst there is a need to rebalance our soft-touch regulatory approach towards our SEHC operators, we recognize, as I've said, that they have shown flexibility through the contract review process and are making changes to some of their terms and practices. They have also shown innovation and creativity in implementing measures to drive footfall to the centres. These include family carnivals and loyalty programs, which offer discounts and other promotions to build up a pool of repeat patrons. In fact, many of these operators have been bearing the costs of various initiatives to improve footfall at the centres, such as free shuttle bus services and free parking, not long after the centres began operations. They are required under the terms of our tender to plough back at least 50% of any operating surplus for the social benefits of hawker centres. This plus our tender process, which favours operators who charge lower total rental and operating costs, and our prohibition on SEHC operators to increase any rental or operating costs over the tenancy period, limits the extent of any operating surplus. These safeguards are part of our efforts to manage and reduce the risk of profiteering. We stand ready to act decisively should there be any mismanagement by the SEHC operators. Potential measures include imposing liquidated damages or even termination of their contracts. As part of our ongoing stocktake, NEA will look at the selection criteria for operators, what to leave to market forces, and whether any other safeguards should be prescribed. Third, all SEHC operators have set up structured feedback channels for their hawkers and have had at least one meeting. They will continue to engage their hawkers regularly and address concerns together and quickly. NEA officers will be present at these meetings. I'm hopeful that such structured and regular meetings will help encourage communication, resolve day-to-day issues, and also reduce misunderstandings. I attended one of these meetings at Ci Yuan Hawker Centre. The atmosphere was constructive and stallholders had positive experiences to share. For example, Chan Li Ching, a 29-year-old hawker who has been operating the Teochew Satay Bihun stall since 2015, said that with the hawkers feedback group, operators could proactively seek hawkers' views on various matters relating to the hawker centre and stalls, and also work together on ideas to help the centre do better. I had a fruitful dialogue recently with HC 3.0 committee members, hawkers, and food advocates passionate about preserving our hawker culture. The participants contributed many ideas, and we have agreed to set up a ground-up work group comprising hawkers and other experts to look at how to support new entrants to the hawker trade and sustain our hawker culture. And we shall share details when ready. Many of the new centres are doing well. When I visited Kampong Admiralty Hawker Centre recently, the place was crowded and many patrons shared with me that they were happy with the wide selection of hawker food at affordable prices. One patron even told me about the $2.60 mee siam sold by the House 22. Similarly, I met a group of ladies who frequent the OTH Hawker Centre. They excitedly told me how happy they were with the many tasty hawker fare offered there, such as laksha by Social Bite and chicken rice at OTH. In fact, the father of Mr. Kiang, who runs chicken rice at OTH, was among the pioneer batch of chefs who developed the famous chatterbox chicken rice at Mandarin Hotel. So I share with you a little secret, which means that the next time I go, it will be a longer queue. But for those centres which are not doing so well, we are working with the operators and stallholders to increase footfall, improve business, and serve their patrons better. What they need now is our support, not speculation and negative publicity that will keep patrons away and cause stallholders more hardship. The latest efforts to discuss and resolve issues through regular dialogue is the right way to go. In summary, we will continue to make adjustments and recalibrate the SEHC model to ensure that it continues to achieve the key social outcomes of our hawker centres, which are to provide affordable food in a clean environment, allow our hawkers to make a decent living, and build communities. We will seek and listen to feedback from hawkers and patrons and continue with our stocktake to further improve the model. Next year, we are nominating hawker culture for inscription on the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. It is a community-based effort involving many stakeholders, including our hawkers, to sustain the hawker trade. The UNESCO nomination will be an important recognition of our hawkers, as we let the world know about our local food and multicultural heritage. As of 18 November, we have received 133,000 pledges online. I urge members and all Singaporeans who have yet to pledge to do so on our SG Heritage website. I'm heartened by the passionate discussions and support for hawker food and our hawkers. To sustain the hawker trade and preserve our hawker culture, I urge everyone to patronize our hawker stalls and support them. I wonder if all members in this House have visited our new hawker centres. If you have not, I urge you to show your support by visiting and patronizing them with your families and friends. Let me share that there are many interesting and tasty hawker fare at these centres, so a few more secrets, including some of my favorites, such as delicious Min Chiang Kueh by Manchi at Yishun Park Hawker Centre, chendol from the dessert stall at Ci Yuan Hawker Centre, run by a young hawkerpreneur, and Zi Cha from Jian Fa Barbecue Seafood at OTH Hawker Centre, just to name a few. Parents should bring their children to our hawker centres to appreciate our hawker culture and heritage food. Our hawker centres should not be treated as nice-to-have dining options, but an important part of our living and evolving culture, as after all, we started building new hawker centres again because of the many appeals from the community for the hawker centres. I'm confident that our hawker centres will continue to thrive as community dining rooms, bringing together Singaporeans from all walks of life and strengthening our bonds as a country.